You know the feeling. The text you sent, sitting there, left unread. The group that made plans without you. The little gray dots that appear, then vanish, then never come back. Nothing was broken. No one hit you. And yet your chest goes tight, your stomach drops, and a small cold weight settles behind your ribs. This video is about that weight. It is about why rejection hurts in the body, why we fear it so much, and why a brain built for survival treats a silence on a screen like a threat to your life. So let's start with a simple game. In 2003, a researcher named Naomi Eisenberger put people in a brain scanner and had them play a plain little computer game called Cyberball. You toss a ball back and forth with two other players, except the other players are not real. After a few throws, they stop passing to you. The ball goes around for about 45 throws, and you just watch. That is the whole thing. No insults, no harm, just a stickman being left out. But something lit up inside those players. Eisenberger found that being excluded switched on a region called the dorsal anterior cingulate cortex, more strongly during exclusion than during a fair game, with a value of t equals 3.36. And the more that region fired, the more distress people reported afterward, with a correlation as high as r equals 0.88. This matters because that same region is known for the unpleasant, alarm side of physical pain. So a silly ball game, with no real stakes, reached for the brain's pain alarm. Which brings us to a careful line we have to walk. It is tempting to say rejection is literally the same as being hurt. It is not. But there is real overlap. Social pain seems to borrow some of the same alarm circuitry that physical pain uses, then adds its own social meaning on top. To see how far that overlap goes, look at heartbreak. So in 2011, a researcher named Ethan Kross studied 40 people who had been dumped in the last 6 months, and none of them wanted it. He showed them a photo of the ex who left them. Then, in the same session, he put real heat on their arm. 2 kinds of pain, one person, one scanner. And the breakup did not just light up the alarm regions. It also reached into areas tied to the raw, physical sense of pain, like the secondary somatosensory cortex. When Kross compared the map to over 500 earlier pain studies, some spots predicted physical pain with a match as high as 0.88. So does that mean a broken heart and a burned arm are the same event in the brain? No. And here is the honest break on the whole idea. In 2014, a researcher named Chung-Wan Wu took brain data from 60 people and trained a computer to tell the two apart. Not just which regions glowed, but the fine pattern across the whole brain. The computer could separate physical pain from social rejection with 92% and 80% accuracy in new people. Same building, different fingerprint. The overlap is real, but it is not a perfect copy. But the body clearly treats rejection as something chemical, not just a thought. In 2013, a researcher named Su scanned 18 people while they were told they were being disliked, then liked. And rejection switched on the brain's own opioid system, the same one that dampens pain, across regions like the amygdala and the periaqueductal gray. Think about what that means. Your brain does not only sound the alarm when you are left out, it reaches for its own painkiller at the same time, trying to soften the blow it just decided you were taking. But there is an even stranger echo of this. In 2010, a researcher named Nathan DeWall ran a double-blind study where 62 students took a regular painkiller, acetaminophen, every day for 3 weeks, while others took a placebo, and the ones on the painkiller reported fewer hurt feelings day to day. In a second, smaller groups scanned while being left out, that exclusion alarm was quieter too. This is not advice. Do not go treating heartbreak with pills, because that drug is easy to misuse, and this was a small study. But it tells you something wild about the wiring. A pill for a headache nudged the pain of being left out. So why does rejection cling to us for so long? Why can you not just decide to stop caring? In 2010, a researcher named Helen Fisher scanned 15 people who had recently been rejected but were still madly in love. On average, it had been 63 days since the breakup. And every single one of them said they spent more than 85% of their waking hours thinking about the person who left. When they saw the ex's face, it was not only sadness that lit up, it was the reward and craving system, the same one tied to wanting and to addiction. The person who left starts to feel like a missing reward the brain keeps hunting for. And loss can dig even deeper than a breakup. In 2008, a researcher named O'Connor scanned 23 grieving women as they faced reminders of someone who had died. All of them showed the pain-related response. But in the women whose grief would not lift, the reward system kept firing at those reminders too, and that activity tracked how much they still yearned for the person, at r equals 0.42. It is a quiet, painful picture. Part of the brain still reaching for someone it will never find, like a hand closing on empty air. which is why this can spill into the body in ways you can measure. In 2012, a researcher named Elizabeth Mostovsky looked at nearly 2,000 people who had survived a heart attack and asked about deaths of loved ones. And in the first 24 hours after losing someone important, the rate of a heart attack starting was 21.1 times higher than normal. The risk faded over the following week, but it was real. Acute social loss can push the body into a measurable danger state. Not a metaphor, a number. And there is even a rare condition where a shock of grief seems to weaken the heart itself. It is nicknamed broken heart syndrome. In 2015, a team led by Christian Templin studied 1,750 patients who had it. Nearly 90% were women. But here is the break again. Emotional triggers actually showed up in only about 28% of cases, less often than physical ones. So the heart can be knocked sideways by stress, but it is rare, and most heartbreak does not touch the muscle. We should not oversell it. So step back and ask the big question. Why would evolution build a brain that treats a silence, a snub, a swipe left, like a wound? Here is the answer, and it is the whole point. In 2010, a researcher named Julianne Holt-Lundstad combined 148 studies covering over 300,000 people. And people with strong social ties had about a 50% better chance of surviving over time. Being connected was not a nice bonus. It lined up with staying alive. Because for almost all of human history, that was literally true. Your ancestors did not live alone. They lived in small bands, and the band was everything. The band shared food. The band shared warmth. The band watched your children, guarded your sleep, and carried you when you were sick. To be pushed out of the group was not an insult. It was a slow death sentence. Alone, in the cold, with no one to hunt with or hide behind, a single human did not last. So the brain grew an alarm for it, a rejection alarm, something that would make exclusion hurt so much, so physically, that you would do almost anything to repair the bond before it was too late. The pain was not the problem. The pain was the fix. It dragged you back to the fire. It made you apologize, make peace, hold on. For a creature whose survival ran entirely through the group, a pain that guarded belonging was one of the most useful feelings a body could hold. But that alarm was tuned for a village of a few dozen faces. It was built for people who knew your name, who you would see again tomorrow, whose forgiveness meant you got to live. And now it fires in a world of strangers. It goes off when a follower unfollows, when a message stays unread, when someone you will never meet scrolls past you without a like. The stakes are gone, but the alarm cannot tell the difference. It still screams as if your life is on the line. So the next time a silence hits you harder than it should, remember what that pain actually is. It is not weakness. It is not you being too sensitive. It is an ancient guard standing at a gate that no longer leads anywhere, doing the one job it was built to do, warning you not to be left behind. It kept your ancestors alive for a very long time. It just never learned that the tribe is gone, and most of the strangers on your screen were never yours to lose.